What about these Forex guys?
The biggest verifier of if someone is making money from trading shows you. There are so many people who complain about, I haven't been promoted and I've been working here for 6-7 years. And that's because he never did anything.
Credit scores, bro.
Yeah.
Why are they so important?
There's a common myth in South Africa, and this is my opinion, and people might get upset, but here's the common myth.
Steinhoff.
Ah,
Can you imagine
Yeah.
the office? Like at that time, the shredders. So what happened there?
well, on record, as far as I know, it's our biggest corporate scandal ever in South Africa. Steinhoff lied to the public. Every quarter, when their books were opened up, they overstated the money that they were making. So the leaders in Steinhoff, and I'm not going to name them, essentially what they did in the beginning is,
Can you explain that?
yeah, they had electronic data deleted 2 weeks prior.
I've been seeing a lot of things trending on Old Mutual.
What I would say is very, very important is this. As people, as South Africans, there's something we have to stop doing. And that is, we have to stop.
Okay, welcome back.
We're back on the Load Shed podcast with a really, really gifted guest.
We're sitting with Mr. Money Mondays,
Money Mondays.
known as Omega Shange Verified. So those who are looking for him on Instagram, Money Mondays Verified. He's got the blue tick. Don't
tick.
start taking scams from people.
Don't listen
Yeah,
to
yeah.
them.
All right, that's just a heads up. Bro, tell us about yourself. How did you get into this
Space.
industry?
To this industry.
Yeah,
I wish I knew what industry you're talking about.
money.
Money. Okay. The money industry.
Has it always been something since a kid?
No. Since a kid, I wanted to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
That was my initial goal.
Yeah.
Is to be a lawyer. Did get entry into law school at Wits, but just didn't have the money to actually go. So decided to go to UKZN. Unfortunately, there I hadn't applied to do law, so I ended up actually doing psychology. Out of all things. Turned out psychology is a mixture of research and psychology. So I enjoyed that part, the research. And then I went into business administration. And then the rest is history. Got my first job in Joburg and learned the ropes of the finance industry from there.
Nice.
So
You started
that's
working.
the summary of
Was
the
it
story.
corporate? Did you get into a financial institution?
Yeah, it
Corporate?
was more corporate, more than anything. And it was interesting, actually. I learned quite a lot. I then realized that my skills weren't necessarily in strict corporate finance, but rather more in the data side, analyzing research hypothesis, looking at the world, history, understanding scenarios. And I went into that space, which is very, very interesting when you know exactly how to make money from that. Yeah.
What is Money Mondays?
Ooh, I think I've changed the definition for Money Monday so many times.
So what's the latest?
But in simple, it's just me sharing information. That's it. My biggest goal is to have everybody take responsibility for their finances. So an issue or a challenge that I've seen in South Africa is that everybody throws their hands up and doesn't want to take responsibility for their financial circumstance. And mainly that's caused by either a fear of not knowing what to do or sometimes just simple laziness. But what I've learned is that a lot of people want to take action, but the biggest challenge is what actions can they actually take? And when I started just looking at what's online and what's there that people are learning from, I saw a lot of it is either like too theoretical, meaning there's no practical steps that a person is actually learning, or it's just stuff that's really not that useful. So I was like, okay, I'm going to share information that is like practical, like do this. Start from A, where are you in life? Okay, this is a step to take. Build this, do this, buy this, and that will set you up properly financially. So that's pretty much what I try to do, is to give very practical steps on how to handle money and grow your finances.
Would you say that's a common theme now in South Africa? So exactly that. Also savings. What is like the guys who reach out to you, what is that common theme that they have in terms of a challenge?
Yeah. Ooh, it depends on where the person is in life. The majority of people, because if you look at the data on our country, unemployment's being so high, the most common challenge is I don't know how to make money. And when you ask them, okay, why don't you know how to make money? You discover it will either be a lack of education, so the person doesn't have qualifications that they can actually utilize to sell skills and thus make money, or it's a person who wants to go into business but doesn't actually know what type of product and how to sell something. So that will be one. Or it'll be a person who just doesn't know where to actually go for anything. Education, business, whatever they're trying to do, they just don't know where to go. And when I look at all those people and I aggregate them together, they simply all have one common problem. And that is they don't have any valuable skills to sell. And they don't know how money is actually made. Money is actually very simple to understand. You make money by selling something. That's it. So you can go get a degree or a qualification. What are you selling? You're selling skills. That's it. An employer will say, I want the skills that you have so I can then sell them to somebody else, a customer. So I'll pay you XYZ amount of money. That's one. Or you can start a business. If you got a business, what are you selling? A service or a product? That's it. So money is always made by selling something. So the issue in South Africa, governments like to speak of unemployment. It likes to speak of a lack of education, but it comes down to the fact that we don't have collectively as a society any valuable skills that anybody wants to buy from us. People have always wanted to buy something from South Africa. It's never been our skills. It's always been our minerals. And so since most of us don't have gold sitting in the backyard to sell, it means we don't have anything to sell. So what we have to do is try to develop skills that we can sell to eventually get maybe to buying a product that we can sell. And so South Africans don't have anything to sell. And so what I always try to do when I speak to people is actually highlight that listen, money is not a special thing that's going to come from somewhere in the air. You need to find something to sell. It's either going to be a skill that you're going to sell to an employer, or it's going to be a product or a service that you're going to sell to a customer. Which path do you want to take? And then the person will obviously uncover within themselves which direction it is that they should actually go to. But once they know that they have to make transactions, they now know how does it look like when they make money. That's like a very, very key thing. Most people don't know how it looks like when you're making money. It's actually very simple. You're transacting. Somebody's saying, here's 50 Rands, give me this thing that you have. And then that's it.
Wow.
And then you multiply that obviously by 1,000 and you'll make quite a bit of money.
Oh,
So
you just
the-
made it sound so simple, bro.
The big boys are making lots of money.
Big money.
Yeah.
Big money.
So
But
then, where does shares come in to this? Because I see you
Yeah.
also
Shares.
show like
Yeah, yeah.
ETFs and easy equities, and you
Yeah,
also
the
show
world of
shares.
investing.
Yeah, what's that story?
There's a lot of ways I could lay that out, but in it's my opinion and belief that the simplest way to owning assets is through the public market, so the world of the stock market. If you think about it, like if you were to ask a common person, what do you own? They'll tell you, okay, besides your clothes and, a few things, but really, what do you own? There's actually not anything that a person owns. Okay, and then the question becomes, what can a person own? If you think about it, the things we can own is a car, a house, our clothes, a business, and maybe a few other consumable items, right? Those are the things that we can own. So let's say you don't own anything in life. How can you actually start to own things that are valuable? Like, where's the first place that you can go to? Obviously, a house is not one. You're not going to get a mortgage or a bond when you're a 23-year-old who just started working. It's very rare that's going to happen. So you're not going to own a house. Maybe you can own a car. Okay, but besides a car, what else can you actually own? Can you own a business? Well, there's one way to own a business. You can go start one, but how long does it take to start a business that is actually successful and is feeding you? That can be years in most cases. So the simplest way to actually own something that is valuable is to just knock on the public market, open up a brokerage account with any good reputable broker, and then start buying some shares. When you buy shares, what are you buying? You're just buying units of ownership in a business. So I could go start my own tuck shop or own shop. That could take years, or I could just buy shares of ShopRite and be a part owner of a company that's doing, in my opinion, decently well in South Africa. I could go try spend billions to start a bank, or I could just go buy shares of APSA, So it's a simple way of starting to own things as a person. And that's probably the most important thing that South Africans have to develop. One, it's maintaining a good credit score, because that becomes very important later on in life. And then number two, it's starting to own things that are tangible, like things that you can actually exchange for money. And that's what shares are. That's what ETFs are. That's what real estate investment trusts are. They're just literally a simple way for you to start owning things for yourself as a person. So literally, you open up a brokerage account, you log in, you load $100 and you own something. It's never been easier to own a property or a business than just literally opening up an account with a good broker.
Can I just talk about credit scores for a second, Josh? Sorry, I'm looking at you quickly. Bro, credit scores.
Yeah.
Why are you looking at me?
No, I'm just thinking about this. Credit scores, bro.
Yeah.
Why are they so important? Because what I gather from a good credit score is that you need to have credit.
Yeah.
Pay off their credit.
Yeah.
So guys are cutting their credit cards and they're like, nah, screw this. We don't want to, I don't want to deal with this. But if they do that, then they don't have a good credit score. Meanwhile, they don't actually owe anything.
Yeah. I'll backtrack a bit, just sort of lay out something very, very important. Okay. There's a common myth in South Africa, and this is my opinion, and people might get upset, but here's the common myth. The common myth is that banks and finance institutions are preventing people from owning things, like from buying property, and whatever it is that they want to buy, and helping them start businesses, whatever. It's not a bank's job to help you do that, okay? A bank will help you do that, but only under a particular condition, and that is they can recover their money from you.
Yeah, but the interest rates.
Now, hold on. There's a very key thing to understand there. Let's say I work at a bank and you come to me to apply for a mortgage, right? So for a home loan, you come to me to apply for a home loan. One of the questions I have to think of, just me as the employee of the bank, is this home loan going to risk my job? Because if I approve it, a couple of months later, you're not paying your home loan. My supervisor is going to come to me and say, the guys you keep approving home loans for, they're not paying. What's going on here? Next year, I'm going to be thinking the home loans I approve, it's going to be people that I'm very, very confident that they're not going to put my job in jeopardy. Okay. Most people, when they walk into a bank for a loan, they are putting somebody's job in jeopardy. That's why they get rejected. Because you look at them, you look at their payments history, look at their credit record. You're thinking, if I approve this loan, there's a high probability that this guy in 6 months is not going to be paying. Who's going to take the fall for that at the bank? It's me sitting right here. So that's one. You then have to think about how much time does it take to recover something once somebody stops paying for it? How long does it take to recover a house, to repossess a house? That's years sometimes. It can be 2 years, 3 years for a bank to repossess a house. And no one likes to repossess houses. Those are people's homes. No one likes to do that. But a car.
Hey, I always see
Quick.
the GTIs from We Buy Cars
Yeah,
there.
it's
All
quick.
repoed.
That's why
repoed.
cars get approved a lot sooner than houses. Because it's legally a lot easier to repossess a car than a home. So from a risk management, from a bank's perspective, you're thinking, what loans are low risk in terms of recovery of things once people stop paying? And then that's when loans go out. So now where does the credit record come into all of this? It comes into the fact that when you walk into a bank, you want to look like somebody who's not high risk. You want to look like somebody, there's a high probability that they're going to pay off their loan, regardless of what the loan is for. And so a good credit history just basically speaks to you. It speaks to your behavior. Like, how have you handled things in the past? Most of us don't like to judge people based on their past, but the reality is that if somebody has done something before, there's a higher probability that they have the ability to do it again, right? So if somebody has walked away from a loan without paying it before, it means there's a high probability that they can just scoff and say, you know what, I'm not going to pay this loan. And then that's it. Guess what? Somebody's job is on the line. The bank is busy crying, saying, hey, where's our money? We gave this guy a loan, and all of a sudden it's not being paid. So it's very, very, very important that from a young age, this is something that I wish is literally taught at school. From a young age, you want to defend and protect your credit record. And there's simple ways of doing it. You can get like a store card, but don't get a store card because you want to consume clothes, like maybe XYZ store. You want to get it because you want to buy a few clothes that you were going to buy cash, but you want to use credit so you can actually repay that credit and then start building a reputation of a person who handles credit very well. Because there'll be a day where you do have a good job, and all of a sudden, your income now qualifies you for maybe a home loan. You walk into the bank, you've got a good income, you drop your bank statement, you got your pay slip, then they look at your credit history and they say, we can't. All because of things that you did when you were 24, 25, 26, 27. So you want to make sure that from the get-go, before you even have that good income, you look very good as a borrower, because that's going to help you access a lot of capital. Most things in life that are big, that are achieved by people, are not done from their own money. Like, think about it. If I'm going to buy a factory, like 70 million rand is not something I can come up with. So I'm obviously going to raise capital somewhere. And one of the things that's going to help me raise capital is my credibility as a borrower. It's that simple.
Yo, but with credit scores, right?
Yeah.
when you're young. Can't you improve it though? It's
Yeah, no,
not something
definitely.
that's-
It takes like literally 6-12 months to improve it.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously your payments history does get deleted. You know, as time goes by, like most unions will keep it. Credit bureaus will keep it for like 6 months, 12 months, depending obviously on the type of loan it is. So yes, your data does eventually, there isn't like a long look back period. However, if you're thinking you're gonna buy a house next year, and your history is you missing payments for the last 13 months.
And spending it in strip clubs.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure about that. But you're not then going to be able
Why
to
do we
buy
go
that
to strip
house.
club? That was deep, bro.
I'm just imagining them looking at your bank statements.
They see.
To be like,
they
God
see, bro.
damn, the grand.
Well,
They're looking at you like,
most institutions tend to not do that.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, yes, they look at spending habits and what you're spending on, but it's not that deep that they're going to like judge your personal life.
Sure.
There's a certain criteria that is used and you can't include a person's like personal life spending because if their income can afford the credit, it doesn't matter actually what they're spending it on, you know, as long as obviously it's not something illegal and, you know, money laundering.
but you telling me they're not looking at your bank statements to be like,
maybe the people who work there are laughing,
must be nice.
I know where this guy is spending his money from.
Yeah.
You know, I'd ask, how do you know what that place is yourself?
Yeah.
As the
Yeah.
employee looking at that place at the bank statement. Because then you have to answer to your colleague. If you tell them, I can see this guy spending money at XYZ place. Well, you tell me, how do you know what XYZ place is?
Exactly.
Alternatively, you have to dress up as TD Jakes and go.
But he's
go
in
into-
trouble right now.
Yeah, go into the bank and be like, people change. People can change. I'm not the same spender that I was before.
Yeah, people can change.
TD Jakes is now chatting with Puff Daddy stories.
my
there.
God.
Have you not seen that? That's just dropped
All
recently.
right.
So
Hey, geez, all right.
watch,
That's
watch,
just-
watch P Diddy.
Oh, wow.
But a quick one, man. Let's get serious here. As a young guy in South Africa, you've just got your first proper job.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're earning X amount of money. It's a stable income. You finished a grad program. What's the first sort of thing you should buy? Because everyone wants to buy that GTI
Yeah.
or their car. What's something that you would say from a financial perspective that's a good investment to start with?
Yeah. I would actually caution anyone against buying a car initially when you just started working. Because when you buy a car, you're not just buying a car, you're buying the expenses that the car comes with. And cars have quite a few just mandatory expenses, petrol and insurance. Let's forget maintenance. Because maybe you're just the person who buys a car that doesn't need that much maintenance. So petrol and insurance. So already when you're buying a car, you're getting expenses. So I would caution against doing that immediately. Yes, at some point you will have to, because it's nice to have something to move around with that's convenient. So I'm not saying don't buy a car. I'm just saying that's not the first thing you should be looking at. Odds are when you get your first paycheck, one of the things you should be thinking about is career expansion. There are so many people who complain about, I haven't been promoted and I've been working here for 6-7 years. And it's like, my guy, you're still the same guy who got here. You know, like you got to this job at 25, your credentials, everything is still the same. So how do you expect a promotion now at 32? You're like no different than any other 25-year-old walking in here. And that's because you never did any career investments. You never, expanded your qualifications or your skills, those small little certificates that, you could do to upgrade yourself. You never did any of that. So obviously, no one is going to look at you for a promotion. It becomes very difficult. No matter how much experience you have at the job, it's just not going to happen. So career investment is the first thing I'd actually look at. Number two, I'd start looking at buying assets. Obviously, if you just got your job, you're not going to be able to buy a property and rent it out. In fact, I wouldn't even recommend that to somebody for the first 2-3 years of them working. Rather start looking at the stock market. Yes, I'm a stock market promoter. So obviously I am going to say that. But actually, it's because there is no other alternative. Like if I said, okay, you're 25, you just started earning 25K per month now. Great, go invest and start buying something. You're not going to qualify for a property. So what are you going to turn to? And to build a business, that's going to be a complete waste of your money. Most businesses fail. So the best place for you to actually go to is the stock market. Start buying some ETFs, start buying a few shares of some really solid businesses and look for ways of growing your capital. The other thing when you're investing in shares that you're actually doing is you're building collateral. Now, when you want to make large purchases, one of the things banks will ask you for is a deposit. It will either be a deposit in cash or a deposit in assets. So if you have assets that you already have been investing in for months and years, then you have something to hand over and say, hey, here's a stock portfolio that I have of real companies. You can hold on to this while I go do whatever I'm going to do with your capital. So that would be the first thing that I actually start working towards. Now, the challenge with this, it's hard. not to do, but just from a discipline and emotional perspective. Because when that first paycheck comes,
Ladies.
you're thinking about a restaurant. Someone will think
You
You like the
ladies.
strip club and the
No, I'm
ladies.
saying-
What's going on here? Is that what's happening at first grad program,
I'm
bro?
thinking varsity days. As soon
Yeah.
as that money comes, you're thinking ladies.
Yeah.
You're thinking 2 pipes. What's
Yeah.
it called? 4 pipes now?
Yeah, 4 pipes.
You're
yeah.
thinking 4 pipes. You're thinking Jordans.
Yeah, clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're thinking
You know,
Jordans.
this actually reminds me of a story.
Yeah.
While you're at it, I remember our first job. We worked at a really nice corporate. All my boys, financial institute. So first paycheck, you know, it's a thing. You're getting your first paycheck of a month. Exactly what this guy's saying, bro. Cool. Guys get out there. I think it was Kong. Was it Kong? You know
Kong, the club. Joburg,
Kong.
Santon.
Kong. Boys are there. I'm seeing the messages flowing. Guys are like, yo, we at Kong. This is the situation. There's some hands pulling through. Let's pull up, boys. First paycheck, let's go. Boys are drinking. If you know me, I don't really drink at all, often at all.
At the time.
So at the time, now and then sometimes,
Yeah.
you know. But anyways, I got there. I ordered a still water.
Yeah.
Fun, you know. I drove my car as well, and Joburg, I was like, yo, metro's hot here. You know, I got to make sure I get home. Boys are drinking. There's girls coming with champagne.
Yeah.
Those sparkle
Nice.
girls. You know what I mean?
The sparkle
Sparkle
ones.
girls.
Yeah.
And they just keep coming. They're flowing. They're flowing. They're flowing. Now it's 11 o'clock. It's going. New DJs coming through. Boys are ordering drinks. Now the boys are getting expensive. Now the champers are starting to come, you know,
The
because the
liquid
Huns are coming.
courage is in as
The
well.
Huns are coming, you know,
Like,
the
I can
champers are
afford this.
flowing.
Yeah.
It's easy. I mean,
Bro,
you got a 50K
come
that
on.
just came through on your account,
Yeah.
for example.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's chill. Cool. The boys are going. Hoppers one. I'm like, guys, I'm out. My boy, he has some cash. I'll just give a 300 for my water. That's the most expensive water I ever bought. He has a 300.
Yeah.
Keep
Very
it
expensive.
for the water and, you know, for the tip. Because I'm
Yeah.
thinking, yo, I just had a water. I don't know the bill. What it's going to be. Now I'm seeing, as I'm leaving, I'm seeing meat platters coming.
You.
I'm saying, yo, it's getting out of hand. Yeah, I'm heading out because, yo, tomorrow's church. You know, so I got to get out of here. The next morning, I wake up at 8. I just see the messages and I see a picture of a slip. You know, the boys like seeing a picture of a slip.
Yeah.
105.
Ooh.
1,000.
105 on your first paycheck. I was just saying, yo, I spent 300. You lots dropped 105.
My gosh.
Hey,
That's
but it was obviously a
insane.
big bunch of guys. But
Yeah, but
Yeah.
what about
105 blocks, bro.
bro? What about the morning briefing after that? Like, boys, hey, we got to do better.
Bro, the thing is, it didn't stop. And it still
Yeah,
hasn't stopped
yeah,
up to now. It's just gotten, it's
You
just
see
gotten
now.
out of
Yeah.
hand.
So what's the implications of that long term?
There's a simple reason why stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
I've been through it myself, and there's one sentence you fool yourself with, which is, "I'm gonna get paid again next month anyway."
My gosh.
Yeah.
That's the biggest. Nothing hurts so many young people who just started working
Sure.
than that sentence.
And the boys
You
just
know.
said this on Monday. They said, nah, boys, this month we live in quiet.
Mhm.
That was the chat. Because now for the rest of the month,
Yeah.
you've got your rent coming
Yeah,
through.
yeah.
That
Yeah.
Wi-Fi bill comes, that phone
Yeah.
bill comes.
Yes.
What are you doing, bro? Because
iPhone.
now you've just maybe, I think between all of them, everyone swiped maybe like 15, 20. But still, bro, out
a
of a
lot.
salary, that's a big chunk.
That's a
Yeah.
massive
That's a
chunk
big
for one
chunk.
night.
I could never.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I left it at 300 Rand for a pre-bottle.
You see now.
It's because most of us don't know who we are with money. Right? So when you're in university, one of the things you tell yourself is what you're gonna do when you start working. Like we all have that story. Like this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this at home. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. No one knows who they are once the money's actually in their bank accounts.
Sure.
You know, like we have an idea of who we think we are, but once the money's there, you'll find out who you are. That's why, like, one of the best ways to know yourself is just to quickly make a lot of money, and then you'll quickly see. I heard this quote, like this was years ago, probably going for like 7, 8 years ago now. This guy said it so well. It was like, if you want to know someone, don't ask their friends. Just quickly look at their bank statements.
My gosh.
Because where they put their money is, that's where their mind and heart actually is.
Alfred said that
You know?
as well.
Yeah, and so we never know who we truly are with money until the money's actually there. I know I used to tell myself that they'd be like these things that I do at home, things that I do for people. Once the money came, all of that went out
Bye-bye.
the window.
Gone.
Yeah, it
See
just
you
became like
later.
a spending spree.
See you
And
later,
then,
alligator.
yeah, you come to your senses, but sometimes you come to your senses too late.
My gosh.
You know?
So you chatted about shares and
Yeah.
all of that. What about these Forex guys that keep popping up on
Tell
Instagram?
us about the
They keep
Forex
DMing saying, hey, do you want to make 50,000 in a minute?
Yeah,
I always
Like,
see those
damn.
blue screens being flashed around, you know,
And those the
profits.
charts as well. You
And
see
the
the charts with the
charts.
candles.
Yeah.
What's going on
Yeah.
there?
First of all, like if someone DMs you saying, "Hey, give me some money, and they're DMing you on social media, they already technically kind of breaking the law. If you actually are a regulated entity, you're not going to solicit clients on social media, especially for Forex trading. In South Africa, that is a heavily regulated area, falls under contracts for difference regulation. So it's just not going to happen that a proper firm and a person who's a representative of a proper firm is going to DM you on social media. So if you get a DM on social media, it's a scam.
Please.
That's what I want to say, right?
Yeah, that's simple.
Now, the guys who are trading for themselves on social media, I must be very careful in saying this. Here's the data that we do have, right? In the brokerage industry, here's the data that we do have. Our saying is this: 90% of retail Forex traders, so retail just means non-professional, 90% of retail Forex traders lose 90% of their money in 90 days. Okay. That's the data we have.
Where's that data from?
Right. This is a very, very classic known brokerage term that at least 90% of non-professionals will lose their money in 90 days of starting to trade. So majority of people who are retail traders, when I say retail trader, again, I mean non-professional, are not making money. In fact, you can log into almost any brokerage, right? Go to their website. One of the things you'll see is a risk warning that will state 90% of our customers don't make money using our platform, or 87% of our customers don't make money using our platform. The risk warning is there. It's a regulatory requirement to tell people, listen, if you come here, you're probably not going to be part of the special people who make money actually trading. So just be aware of that. And the thing is, most of us think that we're special. That's one of our biggest challenges.
That's my challenge too. Anyway, carry on.
So that's one challenge people will have. So once you are aware that 90% of retail traders lose 90% of their money in 90 days, the clock is counting. In 3 months' time, this person is going to be out of money. So if you're a person who's thinking about trading, just please be aware that's the reality. You walk into a slaughterhouse, basically. Now, the question is, why do the majority of people actually lose their money? Now, there's a lot of answers for that. One, it's just not knowing actually how to trade. That's one. Two, it's trading to try and make an income. That's the worst thing you could actually ever do. Anyone who says, I trade and I make money from trading exclusively every month is either a liar or there's something else that's wrong with that person, right? So I just don't want to call them something else.
Or they're selling courses.
Yeah, that's one thing. Maybe they're selling something,
signals.
Yeah,
they're selling signals, robots.
Hey man, I'm selling signals, bro. What the fuck?
Worst
You're
thing.
a red flag.
So if a person's saying they're making money from trading, probably they're not making money from trading every month, because you really can't trade to earn a salary. If you work in a professional environment, you get paid just a salary for working there. Your income is not based on your trades, because most of the time when you're running a portfolio, you're trying to build the value of the portfolio. You're not trying to buy and sell every day to try and make money that you're going to withdraw on Friday. Like that's one, first of all, it's a tax issue and it's an administrative issue. So you're not really going to be doing that. So anyone who says, I'm trading every day and I'm making money every day and I'm withdrawing money tomorrow, that's not happening. They probably are losing money, or they're making money in another way, which is obviously selling courses, signals, and whatever else. Trading for most people doesn't work. So if you get a DM on social media saying, hey, come trade with me, come trade Forex with me, that's just not going to be something successful for you. I wouldn't say start there when it comes to money.
But there are that 10%.
Yeah.
Okay, 90%. There's that 10%. Are those the guys we're seeing on social
Instagram.
media? Or,
No.
Or that 10% is a different breed?
It's a different breed of people. In any case, and that 10% can join the 90% next month. But but let's say there is an exclusive 10% that just makes money, actually makes a living from trading. They're not making it through what we call day trading, which is buying and selling currencies or shares or whatever every day. Most of the time, it's people who are actually building a portfolio. What we call a risk-adjusted portfolio. I know I'm being very technical here, but basically what it means is they've calculated, they've diversified, they've calculated risk, they've built, a list of assets that is in their portfolio that they are looking at, that they've bought, and that list of assets is growing in value over a particular period of time, at least 6, 12 months, 24 months. Nothing on a daily basis, nothing on a weekly basis, definitely nothing on an hourly basis. Now, you will hear that there are systems that help people trade on a daily basis and hourly basis. majority of the systems that exist that are in the retail space, so in the non-professional space, do not work. And the reason they don't work is very, very simple. Market conditions are always changing. So any system that is created last year is not really going to do well this year because market conditions might have changed. Interest rates could have changed. Fiscal policies could have changed. Just market behavior, meaning actual investors and traders, their behavior could have changed in terms of what they like and what they don't like. So there's no robots that you can invest in that will just trade for you forever and then you'll just be printing money. If there was such a system, trust me, the professional world would have it and no one would actually get a job. If you are in the professional space, one of the things you're always trying to do is limit your overhead, meaning you want to get rid of as many floor traders or as many desk traders as possible and as many analysts as possible. So if you could take a lot of money and invest in some sort of automated system that will do everything that these guys do for you, the firm would do it. They would fire everybody and then they just have a machine doing everything because now they're just printing money without having to pay anybody else to do anything. So if the firms are not doing that, you then have to ask yourself, as a retail investor, as a retail trader, how am I doing that? Probably what you've bought is not real. Yeah.
Wow. So are those guys actually just selling courses? That's where they make their money from. Selling Chucks, hey, Money Mondays. I've got a really cool thing that I'm doing. It's 10,000 Rand for you to both start with. That's how I'm making my money from that.
Yeah.
So not from actually trading then. I'm making it from getting 100 people to sign up. That's my income stream.
Yeah.
Wow.
Damn.
All of you driving those BMs saying, come trade with me. I'm watching you.
I'd like to get them on though.
They'll scam us, bro.
You think
we'll get in here with them. We'll be chatting to them. While we're chatting to them, shoes are gone, cameras are gone, everything's gone, bro.
I think while we're chatting to them, they'll show us that they're making profit.
They always show you the candles. I want to see the bank accounts. I want to see the bank account. I want to see the money, the cash flows.
Yeah.
That's
The
what I wanna
biggest
see.
verifier of if someone is making money from trading is not to look at the trading portfolio, though that is a good place to start. So I definitely say look at the bank account, look at the trading portfolio verified by a broker. That's a good place to start. But the best place to actually go to, show us your tax returns. Nothing
Simple.
reveals more than the money that you're making as a person than your tax returns. Because in your tax returns, there will be there written where the source of funds and the source of income is being generated from trading activities. We'll see your capital gains and capital losses. We'll see which brokers are you actually working with. And SARS obviously is not going to lie to us, you know. So we'll know the money. So my challenge would be for anybody who's a Forex trader, if you want to show us that you're actually trading and you're making money, majority from trading and not from any other thing, show us your tax returns.
Simple. I'm gonna reply in the DM, say tax return, then we chat.
Yeah, and then we chat.
You reckon?
Simple.
Yeah.
That's the one. Talking about tax, bro.
Yeah.
Yo, that
What
thing
about
is
that?
painful. It's so painful, you know? You get a job, they're saying, Chucks, this is your annual salary. Chucks is like,
Hey, they
wow,
take a
this is
chunk.
amazing. Then they're saying, tax, what kind?
They take
Pay
a
as you
chunk,
earn.
bro.
Bro, pay as you earn. There's
They
pay.
take a
So how
chunk.
does PAYE work? Please explain that to
Well,
me.
I'm not a tax professional, so I can't necessarily go into it. But pay as you earn is a very simple concept.
Yeah.
Basically, it's pay as you earn. Pay your taxes as you earn money. So as your salary comes in, your gross salary, the company makes a deduction and then hands it over to the tax man. And then all you have to do in tax season is basically reconcile the files by submitting your taxes to SARS, so the two can compare and say, hey, this is the data we got from third parties about the money that you're making. This is what you're saying is the situation. Let's reconcile, and then there'll either be a refund or there won't be a refund, and then that's it. So it's very simple when you're an employed person. But obviously, I know when you're an entrepreneur and you're running a business, now it can the situation can
They
vary
hurt
quite a
you.
lot.
It's a shit
Yeah,
show.
but this is not tax advice because I'm not a tax professional, but that's just what I know
Just
from
making
a
it
few
clear.
tax modules.
Ugh.
Stocks,
Yeah, what about them?
Steinhoff.
Oh,
A lot's been going
Wow.
on here with
Yeah.
the
Houston and
Steinhoff
the
stuff.
boys.
Can you just give us the lay of the land in simple terms?
Simple.
What happened what is the timeline of the Steinhoff story?
yeah.
And
Explain it
why,
for dummies.
yeah,
bro.
why does it, why is it such a big deal? We know the money that's implicated for
Yeah.
whatever, Mr. Juster, is it Juster?
Juster.
Juster.
Yeah.
Marcus
So,
Juster.
so what happened there?
Ooh, Steinhoff is well on record, as far as I know, it's our biggest corporate scandal ever in South
Wow.
Africa. So that's one thing that it is.
Post-apartheid.
Let's say
Really?
post-apartheid, because obviously we don't know what scandals happen there, So, but post-apartheid, Steinhoff is our biggest scandal on record, corporate scandal on record. And what happened there is actually something not very difficult to understand. Once you just get the dummy version of it or the basics version of it, it becomes so clear to understand the fraud that actually happened. So in Steinhoff, we call it an accounting scandal. That was the main thing that happened. But it wasn't just an accounting scandal. There was also a few other things that actually happened, and I'll get into those. But simply put, before I explain the accounting scandal, let me explain how share prices move up and down, because that's something that's really fundamental to understanding the Steinhoff situation. So prices in the market, actually so simple to understand. The market is an auction, right? So the Johannesburg Stock Exchange is essentially an auction house where companies are bought and sold, all right? So members of the public can buy and sell different units of ownership in a business. So how do prices of companies in the market actually get formulated? Through a bidding system. So for example, a buyer will say, I'm willing to pay XYZ amount of money for these shares. And then a seller will say, I'm willing to sell them at XYZ amount because maybe they're a current owner of those shares. And then all the auction system will do is put the best prices forward that are currently on offer from both buyers and sellers. So when we speak of the market price of something, it's currently the best price at which you can buy it for or sell it for if you're a seller, right? That's how prices go up and down. So whenever you see share prices go up, all that's going on is buyers are willing to pay higher and higher prices for those shares. If you're seeing share prices go down, what it simply means is that sellers are willing to sell for lower and lower prices. And obviously as a buyer, you're always looking for the lowest price that you can buy for. So prices will then go up and down in that sense. So that's how share prices move up and down in almost any market. So it's a free-flowing system. Now, of course, there are other parts I could explain in that, but that's the gist of it. Now, the question becomes, what makes people buy something at a higher and higher price? Or what makes them sell it at a lower price if they want to sell it? What makes them resistant to sell it at a lower price, but want to sell it at a higher price? That's now is the question that relates to Steinhoff. And in the market, it's information. It's what you think and believe is going to be the situation with the company. So the market is what we call a forward-looking machine, in the sense that what we are always trying to decipher is what's going to be the value of the business in the next years to come. And is the current price at a discount to its future value? Or is the current price higher than the future value of this company? So if, say, for example, I'm looking at a business and its share price as of right now is 60 rands, and I do some analysis on this particular company, and I predict that in the next 2 years, the share price is going to be 100 rand. That means if I buy this company today, I'm buying it at a discount to the value that it's going to have in the future. Meaning along the way, the share price might go from 60 to 70 rand, and I might sell at 70 and make myself a 10 rand profit from the sale. Very simple thing to understand. Now, what's going to make me do that transaction is what I know about the business. Steinhoff, this is now where we come into Steinhoff, lied to the public about what is going on in the company. Now, there's many reasons why the share price of a business will go up and down. Sometimes it'll be macro situations, so externally what is going on outside the business. It could be government's decisions, economic decisions, consumer behavior, etc. But one of the biggest factors that affect the value of the business is when they open up their books to us as members of the public to see what's going on in the company. So the financial statements, earnings calls, when they happen 4 times a year. Every quarter, a company will report, this is what's going on in our business. This is how much money we're making. This is how much money we're losing. These are the assets we own. These are the debts that we have, the customers, sales, whatever is going on in the company. Steinhoff lied. Simple as that.
Wow.
So every quarter, when their books were opened up, they lied to the public. They overstated the money that they were making. They said we are making more money than actually what was going on. They hid debt from the public. They didn't want us to see what was going on, because had we seen that the company's in a bad financial state, people would have started selling the shares. And of course, as you sell shares, you increase the supply of those shares, and buyers, obviously seeing the increase in supply, will want to buy at a lower and lower price, and that will drive price down. Now, the question becomes, why would someone lie like that? And what would be the benefits of lying like that?
And also, how did they do it for so long?
Yeah. Well, the research that's currently available shows that this had actually started from the inception of Steinhoff being listed on the JSE in the 90s.
From the beginning.
Right. From the beginning, there had been lies. Now, the irregularities on the accounting start from 2009 to 2017. That's what the data says. But the fraud of the business itself starts in the early days of when it got listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. Now, note that Steinhoff originally was a German company that then merged with the South African company, Goma. And then they formed this large conglomerate of furniture retail businesses, right? So that's the background of that. So the leaders in Steinhoff, and I'm not going to name them, essentially what they did in the beginning is they actually had third-party entities do transactions with Steinhoff. Now, that is a major no-no, and to do that and then not disclose it to the public.
Can you explain that for us?
So very simply put, it's a common fraud that happens in our government. It's just happened in a company in this case, where I'm a person who works at the company. I'm a high-earning executive there, and I know that the business is maybe looking at buying another company that is a furniture retailer. So what I do is I then go buy up shares of that furniture retailer that my company is looking at buying. And that's insider trading, basically, or what we call front running, where basically I buy shares of a company that my own larger company is targeting at acquiring, meaning when the business buys shares of this smaller company, they're in fact buying shares from me and I get to make a buck. Now, that's insider trading and that's front running, and it's completely illegal to actually do. That's one crime that exists in Steinhoff. The other one is actually suppliers of Steinhoff. Some of them were actually related to the company, where basically the executives had set up third-party companies around the world who would supply Steinhoff with materials for obviously making furniture, and not actually disclose that these companies are not like independent companies. They're companies that are owned by executives at Steinhoff. That is a massive no-no. It's the same thing as if I work at government and I have a company that's doing business with the state and that's not disclosed. So every time I sign off on a tender, I'm signing it off to my own business. Obviously, the taxpayer would be very upset at hearing that. So shareholders would obviously be very upset at hearing that you as a CEO actually are supplying the company materials. Or in this case, the more specific thing was that the company was renting warehouses from its leadership, which is a massive no-no. And that wasn't disclosed to the public at all.
Is that wrong, or is it only wrong because it wasn't disclosed?
It depends. Depending on the company's policies, it can just be straight out wrong. But most of the time, conflicts of interest issues. But most of the time, it's wrong because it's not disclosed. And then the other issue is that a lot of these things in Steinhoff were very opaque. They were hidden behind a lot of shell corporations, a lot of trust that existed somewhere in the British Virgin Islands, somewhere in the Caymans, somewhere in Panama. So it's things that were very much hidden. But it was these same third-party entities that were then used to lie on the financial statements. How? By these companies making transactions with Steinhoff that were not real for large amounts. So my fake company buys something from Steinhoff for $2 billion. No transaction ever happens, but that transaction gets recorded on the company's financials as income now.
As a purchase order and invoice and all of that stuff.
Yeah, and debts also get hidden in those companies. So Steinhoff makes a huge loan. Instead of actually that loan being on the books for Steinhoff, it gets put on this third party that's hidden from the public, thus making Steinhoff look really, really good as an investment. Steinhoff was once part of the JSE Top 40.
Yes.
And it's because when you're part of that index, it means you are a market darling in most cases. Meaning fund managers who manage people's pension money are going to put money there. I know this. The PIC owned about 7% of Steinhoff, and a few other large funds as well owned quite some huge chunks of Steinhoff because of the surety of those statements. And every year, auditors stamped, until one day the auditors were like, no, we're not going to stamp these anymore. And that is a big thing in the market when it happens. So in order to say they're not going to approve financials, meaning the company actually can't release audited financial statements, that is a massive thing. There's rules on the JSE that states when you have to release statements by. And if you actually go past that date, you've broken actually a listing rule. And obviously that triggers a lot of scrutiny on the business.
Is that what happened? Is that how it was flagged?
So for Steinhoff, that was the first flag that was that was public. Now, obviously, there were other flags. Like, for example, in 2015, the German authorities, because Steinhoff is in fact a German company, had actually started investigating the leadership of Steinhoff for insider trading and other accounting irregularities. So that was one of the big triggers of people starting to say something is not right here. But it took a while to actually get to a point where it's like the auditors are not saying something's not right. So it's very clear that something isn't right. Then obviously, remember on the 5th of December, 2017, the CEO resigned, and then Steinhoff announced that they're going to have to revise their earnings. And the question becomes, how long ago is this revision? Is this just a quarter? Because, we can live with the quarter. Maybe you made a mess up for one quarter. 3 months you lied. We can live past that. Turned out 2009, 2017. Wait. So you guys are saying basically
8 years.
For 10 years, you guys have been lying to us about how much money you're making. And once that happened, the share price started falling. Now, why is the share price falling? Because those who own the shares want to get out. They start selling, and there's no one to buy. And those who would be willing to buy, they want to buy at low prices. They're looking at this company and saying, right now, the share price is like at 200 rands per share, whatever. I'm not going to buy for 200 bucks. I'm going to buy this for 10 rands. So if you're a seller, the best price you can get right now from a buyer is 10 rands. And then the share price just crashes. And then that's what happened to Steinhoff.
And he also texted his mates.
Yeah.
Like 4 of his really good friends saying, guys, sell.
Yeah.
But
some
now,
insider trading there, yeah.
But now what happens to the pensions?
It's a loss. It's called a loss.
Shit.
You can recover it by suing, but if you're suing an entity that doesn't really have any money at all, you're wasting your time.
Wow. So that's why they've tried to attach all his assets as well. And how successful have they been with that? Because, for example, if Chucks and I are together, right?
Yeah.
And I buy a home and I put it under Chucks' name.
Yeah.
And I'm the guy at
You're out the game now.
right? I'm at Steinhoff, but the house is on his name.
Yeah.
I'm married to him. The house is on his name. Can they attach his house still?
No.
It depends on the legal setup, obviously, of the relationship. You know, so that it does depend on that. But what I do know is that the South African Reserve Bank actually did confiscate assets from the CEO. This was done like in 2018, if I remember correctly. So they did start freezing assets and confiscating things as a means of just preventing assets from being sent offshore and transferred to places where they're now basically unreachable. So that was done for a few of the executives, mainly the CEO. But obviously that's now a legal issue that, back and forth with lawyers to try get all of that sorted. So, but that was initially done. Yes, they can attach. As a director, and as a person who's an executive at a company, your personal assets can be attached in matters of fraud. So obviously businesses are limited liability, but in a case of when you're defrauding shareholders and you defraud the public, your personal assets can be utilized to recoup the gains that you had made from the fraud. We know in law, obviously I'm not a legal expert, but you can't benefit from the fruits of your illegal deeds. So obviously anything that falls from the fruits of the illegal deed is obviously something that you shouldn't have, and so that will in most cases get attached depending on the legal setup. And so that's why you saw fines being issued. Steinhoff, the company itself, did try to get salaries back from people because it's like, we've been paying you these salaries and bonuses under the fact that you're performing very well. It turns out your performance is a lie.
Yeah, but that's got nothing to do with me. I'm working here.
Well, you're the guy signing off on this.
So it's those execs.
You're responsible.
So not everyone.
Yes.
Yeah, no, the execs. No, innocent parties that are just working there.
I was just about to say.
No.
I'm just a janitor.
Did innocent parties have some sort of an idea? Because, if you're sitting in a financial team, right? And I'm the grad there, right?
Yeah.
I'm not dumb, bro.
Yeah, you're not.
Like, when you're seeing certain findings come up and certain sign-offs happening, and then they're saying, this is our budget, this but we've had this. Surely they're going to chat to the team and be like, yo, we're making a loss here.
Yeah.
But can you imagine you the grad, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna be like, hey, who's this small fry? And you looking at this, you're like, but these numbers is not make sure.
That's what I'm saying. So
is not
that's
make
what
sure.
I'm saying. So imagine being a grad there, you're seeing things and you're like, yo, this is not make sure.
But can you imagine the office
right now?
Like at that time.
Yeah, on that day.
The shredders,
December.
bro. The shredders.
Like Wolf of Wall Street.
Burn it all.
Yeah.
Can you
think they were
imagine?
shredding? You think it was one of those?
Yeah, they had electronic data deleted 2 weeks prior.
Straight.
And they had been deleting data for weeks on end, getting rid of evidence, throwing things, burning things. If you're the grad and you're seeing that happening at your company, late at night at 12 a.m., you're seeing a few top executives and some other people or supervisors burning things and shredding things and deleting hard drives.
My man.
You should be thinking to yourself, I need to find a new job.
Early.
I need to get out.
Early.
I need to get out.
And the question is, should you sell the shares that you own in the company?
Or is that now seen as insider?
It could constitute actually as insider trading. So it's a bit of a tough
you
one
just sit there.
because it's
Just
like,
sit there and lose, bro. Peaceful.
yeah, which is tough. But
Steinhoff starting Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yes.
Wolf of
that is a
Santon.
movie that's going to happen. At
That
some
has
point,
to happen.
It has to happen. Yeah,
it has to happen, bro. There's no ways.
But dude, it's just also interesting to see how you've got this massive accounting scam
Yeah.
in South Africa.
third world country.
And we also, it's also people. I feel like people are not treating it as seriously as they do if it had to happen to our own government, which people do. People do. So it's almost like, guys, we also need to look at what the private corporations are also doing, because they're affecting people's livelihoods.
The ripple effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're always just looking at, okay, government corrupt, whatever. But also, it's happening.
Tongat.
Yeah.
That's another one.
What happened there?
It's the same thing, accounting. And this is obviously has brought a lot of questions about the auditing industry. Hence, right now, the conversation is mandatory auditor rotations, which basically means that listed companies every couple of years have to rotate to different auditors. Now, the hope is that if we do this, this will prevent one auditor from having a massive conflict of interest, which is the biggest challenge, actually, or rather one of the biggest challenges, is that auditing firms get paid by the exact companies that they have to audit. And so you can imagine, if you're the auditor who finds something that's irregular here, you send it up to your supervisor. He's busy thinking about the company's earnings, that if we lose this big company as a client, and they go down the road to our competitor, what's going to happen to our business? Now you have to sort of, be in a massive
conflict of interest.
What do they do though? That's a good.
Now
that's
you've
a good
got
point.
100 million to audit Steinhoff coming into your company. Once this is done, you're collecting a nice 15-bar bonus, for example.
Yeah.
Right? Now they come with your grad comes, hi, sir, I don't think this report's right.
Shut up.
You're like, shut the hell up. Shut your mouth.
But
I don't get so
But then it brings me back to the thing now.
Yeah.
Surely there's some sort of repercussions for them.
There are. So in the case of Steinhoff, Deloitte ended up paying 1.5 billion into like a compensation fund for investors. There wasn't any legal sanctions on them, but they just volunteered and said, "Hey, we'll pay this 1.5
volunteered. You guys,
billion."
You've been policing this for.
We're the
You've been
ones
allowing
We're the
it.
ones who've also uncovered it, So
Did they? No, but they uncovered it when somebody was like, this is too much.
it became
This is too
very
much.
clear. Like,
This is too much. We're gonna get caught now.
but that's
Surely
a bit
that should
ridiculous.
become
That's
everyone
a bit
should-
ridiculous
Because the
Yeah.
same thing happened with the Guptas and their scandal.
Yeah.
Who was the auditors there? Was it not PwC? Was it?
it was one of
Was
the
it
big,
Deloitte as well?
Yeah,
It was Deloitte as
actually,
well. So
PwC now.
What is
Yeah,
Deloitte doing?
You see now.
So it could have been KPMG if I remember
No,
correctly.
it was KPMG.
Yeah, it was
Sorry,
KPMG.
All right,
So-
let's get those
KPMG.
facts
We'll take
right.
those facts. Yeah.
But obviously Deloitte, KPMG, they've all been implicated in a lot of things. There's an older scandal, not South African but American, which was Enron. Enron was the biggest corporate scandal in the world, actually. And until Lehman Brothers collapsed in 2008, Enron was the biggest bankruptcy ever in history. And they collapsed under an accounting scandal. Same thing with Steinhoff. Executives having their own companies, trading with the business, executive fronts running, acquisitions, executives lying about how well the business is doing in order to pump up the share price. And in that case, they actually had their auditing firm, who was in fact part of the Big Five, Arthur Andersen, in the company's offices. Arthur Andersen had an office in the office of the company that they're auditing, right? Which was obviously a massive scandal when it broke. And Arthur Andersen collapsed as a company. They no more, literally a Big Five auditor, literally now no more because of that scandal. With Steinhoff, I don't think it should have obviously gone that far that we have a Big Four auditor, go down, because they do a lot of good work. This was just one of those cases where the work wasn't good. But there are solutions being brought up by the industry. And I think a lot of the solutions going forward are actually going to help. Like rotation is definitely going to help, because if you know in 2 years' time, we're going to have to leave this company, you're going to be very, very afraid that PwC is going to find the wrong that you did. And so you're going to make sure your work is always up to par, because the next auditor is going to want to shut you down if they see something is not right.
It makes
That's
it a good
true.
competitive
That's
environment,
true.
actually.
So
But you
so
find the irregularity, you're like, goodbye.
But at the end of the day,
Get out of here.
you're still getting paid by them.
yeah.
That's what's creepy.
Because there is no other payments mechanism.
Yeah.
Everybody's proposed that there should be like a central fund for auditors. It won't work. It's just too expensive. The only way is to have a company pay for its own auditing. Unfortunately, that's just how it is.
Justice.
Yeah.
I'm just worried, man. You know, if you think about people who currently have investments,
Yeah.
you have to think, shoot, what if that happens to another business? now?
Investor confidence.
Because I
right now
remember
in South
even
Africa is shaky.
Christo lost a lot of money there. And wasn't he in the ShopRite?
He transacted. So he had Pepco. And what he did was Steinhoff took over Pepco, and they paid him in two ways. One was cash, and the other half was being given Steinhoff shares.
Oh my. They fried him. They fried him.
So they fried him big time. And so this is something that's very, very key for investors to understand. Whenever you're buying shares, you're essentially exchanging the value of your money for the value of those shares. The reason we buy shares and not hoard money is that money is always going down in value due to inflation. While shares have the probability of going up in value due to the fact that businesses tend to grow over time. That's why we buy shares. If money stayed, like if the value of money always stayed constant, or in fact the value of money grew, we wouldn't even bother buying things like shares at all. So in the case of Mr. Weiss, he exchanged an actual good asset, Pepco, for one that turned out was a turd, if I just put it that way. And obviously that just snapped his wealth instantly. Like during that week when Steinhoff collapsed, his wealth was just plummeting. His whole entire net worth basically collapsed. Yes, he still had obviously a few billions lying around, but essentially his most essential part of his net worth and most essential asset was done for. And that's why he turned around and sued Steinhoff for 59 billion rands.
Straight.
Because they'd literally fleeced him. That's what they'd done. Marcus Joost had fleeced the man. And if you're thinking fleecing someone for 100,000 rand is easy, try fleece someone for 60 billion. That's an advanced white collar transaction right over there.
Sure.
Sounds like a white privilege too.
Have you also...
you crying with small money.
Yeah, they fleecing each other for billions.
Dude, he's like, man, you guys just scammed me for 10 rand, bro. 59 billion.
And your reputation.
Straight, man. Imagine. Yes. But he's okay because he's still got a couple of billions.
When you're at that level, I think obviously it affects you for the evening.
Yeah, I'm sure it's just it's a massive headache. It's a massive headache.
If your net worth is like 100 billion and you lose 60 billion, that yes, from a lifestyle perspective, not a biggie. But from like the work that I've put in, this is my life's work. Building Pepco.
Sure.
And to have it just have someone literally say, look you in the eye and say, I know I'm scamming you while we sign these documents for you to exchange Pepco to me. Is it hurts.
And the growth of Steinhoff was insane. It was just a little place, and then they're buying here, they're buying here. And the whole world's like, whoa, who is this? Everyone's just investing. They built up such great investor confidence everywhere. And then they said, now you're gonna live.
The old saying is that you cannot have a con without confidence.
Confidence.
You need people to have confidence in what you're doing to con them. And so Steinhoff built a lot of confidence. Good PR. That's the first thing when you want to raise your share price. You want to make sure you've got good PR, good reputation. You want to put people together who have good reputations, who are known to be superstars of the market. You also want to then, for me personally as an investor, if I see a company that's in a certain industry making acquisitions, I always look at, are they making this acquisition for financial gain, or is this a brand acquisition? And what I mean by brand acquisition is this, are they buying reputation? Steinhoff, you look at a lot of the acquisitions they did, they were buying reputation. For example, the last big acquisition they did, Mattress Firm in the US. Now, Mattress Firm wasn't necessarily a good company, from just a financial perspective, but it was a long-running, large US company. Now, the fact that Steinhoff is operating in the US boosts the share price, makes them look good. So a lot of the acquisitions, when you look back on them, you're like, these were really them just buying reputation. And whenever a company's buying reputation, there's a con there.
There's a lot to learn going forward on that stuff when you are looking at whatever you investing in.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's there's always a risk.
Yeah.
And that's just shown us that even stocks that are guaranteed, you're like, this is an amazing stock,
top 40.
diversified, stable. Put your money in here. You're gonna learn, boy. Come here.
But the probability, though, just like to give the market some confidence, you know,
Oh, now you're trying to win us back. Now you're trying to win us back. Okay?
is this historically and from a probability perspective, a company generally falls out of favor, say from an index like the JC Top 40. Generally, it will be due to economic and business blunders, normal business blunders. Like they launched the wrong product, it just didn't work. They plowed too much money to it. So it'll be normal, honest, everyday business failures. It's very rare to have a company fall out of the top 40 or fall out of favor of the market, especially if it's in the top 100 for something like fraud. Out of like 1,000 companies, it will be like maybe 50 of them, which is still like a very small percent. So globally, that's like the stats in terms of companies that fall out of favor due to fraud. The public market is very good at sifting out fraud because there's a lot of very intelligent analysts who specialize in particular industries, who have friends and know how to do good research and due diligence on companies that will quickly alarm the market. There's something we call short sellers. Short sellers are basically traders or investors who look to actually make trades where they benefit from the company share price falling. So for example, in the case of Steinhoff, there was Viceroy. Viceroy is a famous short seller research company. And the moment it was announced what was going on at Steinhoff, they published a 36-page report of research that they had been doing, that they had been building up a short position in Steinhoff.
Oh, really?
And yeah, that really helped actually highlight, there were a lot of people who had done research and had seen something is wrong there. And already started preparing positions for the share price to go down. That's a normal part of market behavior. So short sellers being in the markets does help actually just notify the public that, hey, something is wrong here. We're doing research. We're planning on running a short on this particular stock. This is why we think this company is actually overvalued and its value should come down. So the market is very good at regulating itself. So it's very, very rare that a company is able to deceive the market the way Steinhoff actually has. In fact, in South Africa, I can count literally from just my hand how many times that has happened. Where a company successfully deceives the market that long. Steinhoff, Tongaat, and maybe a few others. But it's very, very rare that a company is able to just get away with lying because there are people who are really good at their job who will read those financial statements and say, you're in the furniture selling business. You shouldn't be doing this well. You're actually growing like a tech company and you're selling furniture. Something's wrong with
Something's
that.
fishy.
Yeah, something's really fishy.
These couch is made of blockchain.
Blockchain, yeah. but
That's actually not a bad idea.
this Viceroy short sellers, bro. If you are in the investment game, let's just say you're a young guy who's just you've managed to make some money from Bitcoin, and now you're buying all of these shares, and Viceroy says we're shorting this, bro. I'm shorting. Aren't you?
That's a bit dangerous.
So okay, so what do you do? Because
that's a bit dangerous.
Why would they publish a report to say, guys, we're thinking about selling this thing, and here's why? Why are they not just selling it before people just sell it and then the price goes lower?
The conflict of interest with funds that are specifically short sellers is that anytime they publish a report on something they're planning to short sell, something they already are short selling, is that they're doing what we call talking up your book, where basically it's like you're almost encouraging other people to join in. So they start selling, which pushes the price down, which obviously works very well for the fund.
Oh, so they've already shorted it.
Yeah. So there's a massive conflict of interest, obviously, when a short seller announces that I'm short selling something. So in the case of somebody who's like an amateur investor or trader, and they're hearing something from, say, Viceroy or any other research company, take it with a grain of salt, read it, judge it, and then go do your own due diligence. I always say one of the best things that you can do in life, in anything, is just do your own research and have a very clear process of your own research system. Understand its flaws, where it can go wrong, where it can blind you, and where it does do well. And if you can do that as an investor, you'll tend to fare very well over time. And don't just listen to what other people are saying. The common error that people make is that they'll listen to things on Facebook or on TikTok or on Instagram. Someone will say, go buy this share, and the market runs to it. There's one particular company, in fact, I will say it, it was Pepco. A couple of years ago.
Pepco.
Yeah, Pepco. I think this was in 2020, 2021. on a certain Facebook group, people said, go buy this company, go buy this company. A lot of people went to go buy the shares, and it turned out they bought a turd. And the shares plummeted in value in the last year and a half. And a lot of people have actually lost money because of that. And the simple reason they lost money is because they were lazy. They didn't want to do their own research. Had they just taken the time to just go read the company's financials, understand what this business is, they would have realized, I don't think this is something I should invest in. Sometimes like you get like a little thing of like, this doesn't make sense. This company's in this industry, they're making this much money, or they're not making this much money, and someone's saying I should invest in this company. I don't know. It just doesn't sound right. When was the last time you bought a bed? I always ask myself that. And the last time I bought a bed, like I think I've bought 2 beds in the last 10 years. So the probability of me going to buy a mattress company is very rare. Because I don't think people are buying beds every day, like in the rates like we buy something like food. So if you have a mattress company that's saying we're growing 50% a year,
I'd say you lying.
yeah.
You're lying.
There's something wrong there.
Yeah. It's crazy. Before we finish.
No, we can't finish.
Okay. I've got another thing, and then you can go.
Because I've also got a gun to come.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been seeing a lot of things trending on Old Mutual.
Oh, I've seen that.
So if I could have the story wrong, but this is what I'm getting from the story. Person invested money into an Old Mutual kind of fund that pays them off per month. I think I don't know if it's a retirement, but something along those lines, right?
Okay.
And then the person passes away. There are no beneficiaries. Well, the kids or the beneficiaries supposedly now cannot withdraw that money from Old Mutual.
Okay.
This person, can't remember their name. It was on TikTok. Was now like saying, guys, where's the money? What's going on? Right? But what I think happened was there's obviously different policies you can join in these things. But what I think happened was part of this policy, I know this because my parents they're retiring, so you have to get into this conversation. But part of this it's a policy whereas you can put in your retirement, right? And you can withdraw from this thing every month, right? But for life.
The living
annuity.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Yeah,
but the only caveat is that when you do die, it's gone.
It's non-inheritable. Yeah.
There you go. And I think that's what they
that's
what
a
they
life
did.
annuity because once you're gone,
Yeah.
gone.
But I think that's the one that they might have joined into.
Yeah, so they confused it too.
But the problem is now the guys didn't tell I think they didn't tell their kids. Be like, hey, bro, I'm doing this thing.
Yeah.
And now they look bad now. Old Mutual look bad. But actually it's not their fault.
Just
they
didn't know the difference between life and a living annuity from what I've gathered.
I can't speak to the Old Mutual case.
Yeah.
There's reasons why. But what I will say is from just an overall industry perspective, mistakes happen. And in my opinion, I think one of the most important things that a company should do, who's in that space, is to be okay with saying that mistakes happen. And not actually like try play the public and make up excuses or make up stories or whatever it is. Just say, we have millions of customers, and once in a while we will get certain policy decisions wrong. We will get advice wrong. We will not make a payout for something that we should have, or there will be something that happens. Those cases are in fact rare. It's just so it happens that most of the time, people who come online and say something, it's always the unhappy people. Because what reason do you have to come online when you're happy? It just makes sense, So that's one thing I'd say the industry has to look at. Now, likely in the case of Old Mutual, I'm not sure, obviously, the details of what policy it was.
Yeah.
But what I do know is that there was a payout that was meant to be made, and the payout wasn't made, and the family was upset.
Okay.
They went online, and social media pressure got onto Old Mutual.
Is this the same? Is this the same example I'm giving?
It's the same story.
Okay.
The most recent story from 3-4 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Then I'm wrong. I'm wrong then with my life annuity story.
Yeah. There was pressure.
Yeah.
And And the pressure mounted, and Old Mutual eventually then paid out. Now, those cases do happen. They can happen for numerous reasons. Administrative is mainly the biggest cause. So that's something that can happen. What I would say is very, very important is this. As people, as South Africans, there's something we have to stop doing. And that is, we have to stop abdicating our responsibilities of our finances to third parties.
Meaning?
You have to be proactive in understanding what is going on in your finances, especially financial administration. All right. So your policies, your taxes, your assets, all of that. You have to be very proactive in managing all of that. Yes, give money to a fund or give money to Old Mutual, buy a policy. But don't now keep quiet in conversations with your family. And I'll be slightly racial here. This is a habit that exists a lot with Black people where, mom and dad have policies and they're just quiet about them.
Dude.
Like they're just quiet. And it's like, why are you quiet? This is stuff that should be known. There should be a proper record of the family's financial administration. Somewhere there should be records where we know exactly who to contact, what to do, what was the policy, where the contract is, all that sort of stuff has to be out in the open. The conversations have to happen. Money conversations are not happening in Black households and across South Africa, regardless of race, but mainly in Black families. Money conversations are not happening about what is actually going on. So that's why you find people are passing away. Families excited about payouts. Next thing you know, a creditor comes up saying dad owes XYZ amount of money. It's like, what?
Gosh.
We didn't know that. We didn't know that because dad didn't say.
Or a
that,
second and a third and a fourth wife comes through and says, hey, yo, listen, these are your brothers and sisters.
Spread the money.
I'm not going to speak to people's social
Spread the
lives.
money.
I'm just saying.
The money's for all of us.
That can happen. I'm not going to speak to people's social decisions, but in relation to social decisions, there'll be issues on obviously beneficiaries. By law, there's a certain way that beneficiary hand-down happens in South Africa. It's your most immediate dependents. And so obviously if you have a whole lot of kids somewhere, those kids should be counted. That's why they'll have a claim to whatever it is that is being distributed. So that's one place where your social behavior will affect your finances. But the most important thing is the conversation of what do we have here at home? What policies do we have? What are the agreements? What are the T's and C's? Who was the people that I spoke to when I bought this policy? Because what that will prevent is this. When you now come to an Old Mutual or whoever you're speaking to, you coming and you've got a proper track record and understanding of what is actually going on. The most important key thing in the conversation, though, is that you are also now educated on what product your father or mother was buying or brother or sister, and for what reason was this product for? What were they trying to protect the family from, or what were they trying to do for the family? If you can do that as a family, that's going to empower you to actually even make better decisions now on the policies that you actually do buy. Because sometimes people fall for marketing and it's not very clear what they're buying. They think they're buying one thing when actually they're buying another thing. And then next thing you know, because of the lack of communication, the lack of sharing documents and saying, this is what I bought, mistakes then happen. And then all of a sudden people come on social media and say something, which they have a right to do. I believe in call out culture, where if somebody does something wrong, you call them out. So everybody has a right to do that. But make sure before you go online and call out something, you have a clear understanding of why you're calling out something.
Okay.
That's very, very important. And then companies have responsibility to just admit mistakes. Like business is just a place of mistakes, because you're dealing with people, things are happening, administration, we're not perfect. So be okay with saying, oh, we made a mistake in this case. It doesn't happen with all of our policies, but in this case, let's be honest, we made a mistake.
And we can trust you.
I know admitting mistakes is difficult because of legal liability, civil liability, so it's very tough to say we made a mistake because then a lawsuit is going to come. But sometimes it's just good for your brand to say, hey guys, we're not perfect. We make mistakes on certain things. We've rectified our mistake. And next time we promise we will do better.
Okay, that's clear.
Whoa.
Thank you. Yeah.
Before we end,
Yeah.
I've got to ask you, you've been investing for a very long time, obviously.
Yeah.
And you know a lot about the market. What is your stance on cryptocurrencies at this point in time? Because we're wanting to know, hey, people are saying get involved, don't get involved.
Yeah.
What's your stance on it? And where you at?
And to top that off, there are so many flipping currencies coming through.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what do we do now?
Yeah, there's like almost millions now. Actually.
Yeah.
Dogecoin.
There's a few views that I have when it comes to crypto. And it depends what hat I wear. Now, if I speak to just my general opinion about cryptocurrencies, is that they are going to be a player in the financial system, but I don't think all of them will be players. For a simple reason that most of them are competing for the exact same thing, which is to get members of the public to utilize them as a medium of transaction in the economy. Most of them are not going to achieve that. So most cryptocurrencies, their value just simply comes from the fact that people are willing to buy and sell them. So majority of them don't have any value whatsoever.
Like money is backed by gold and assets.
Money, so fiat currencies, what we currently use in majority in the westernized world, is not necessarily backed anymore by commodities. So there was Bretton Woods. We got off the Bretton Woods standard, which is when we used to back up money through commodities. Mainly it was gold. And so I don't want to get into the history of that, but simply put, there was a time where a lot of countries backed up their money by gold. Eventually, a lot of countries wanted to get off the gold standard. The United States stayed on the gold standard. So a lot of currencies were pegged to the United States, meaning their value was linked to the value of the dollar because the dollar was still backed by gold. The dollar then stopped being backed by gold, and there was numerous reasons why the United States did that to help their own economy. And that basically took the rest of the world off the gold standard. The gold standard is good, but it does have certain restrictions in the sense that you can't just print money because there might not be enough gold to back that up. That actually does have consequences. A lot of large construction and infrastructure problems that we have in the world require a lot of capital. And if you can't print capital at ease, then it means you can't actually do those exercises. So getting off the gold standard, I know a lot of crypto bros, they always fight, say, let's get back to gold, let's get back to gold. But they don't understand, getting off the gold standard actually helped us expand the economy. Yes, we expanded the economy through debt, which is itself not necessarily a good thing, but we expanded the economy nonetheless. So the gold standard itself does have pros and cons. My personal preference, yeah, let's go back to gold and see what happens. But I wouldn't say gold is actually that perfect itself as well. At the moment, though, most money, so fiat currencies, are literally just backed up by the value of the fact that they've got a government that says this is the only currency that you can use in our economy. That's it. Meaning people don't have an option but to use that particular currency. Cryptocurrencies are trying to basically be an alternative of that by saying, hey, instead of using this one currency that this one government is telling you that you can use, here's another currency that is not centralized in terms of its authority. So all fiat currencies, by fiat currencies, I mean currencies that are free floating and whose value is simply backed up by a central bank, they are all centrally controlled. So the Rand is centrally controlled by the SARB. The SARB is the only entity in South Africa that has a mandate to create Rands and destroy Rands and control the value of the Rand in terms of its base value, right? So obviously the Rand is free floating in the sense that the activity of the economy can determine the value of the Rand. But the SARB is the one who's in sole control of the central value of the Rand. And they've got the responsibility to protect the Rand, meaning the control of the Rand is centralized. It's like that in the majority of countries in the world. So cryptocurrencies are an alternative to that centralization. That's why we call them decentralized currencies. The idea is that the behavior of people should be what actually regulates the value of the currency, not a central authority. Now, some will obviously argue a lot of things about central authorities, such as if we have a central authority in control of a currency, they can then control social policy, they can control how business is done, they can control a lot of things, and they benefit from the control, etc. There's a lot of people in the cryptocurrency world who, speak of that type of those types of ideas, but essentially cryptocurrencies are just a decentralized form of exchange where instead of using the Rand, I use a Bitcoin because nobody controls our Bitcoin. It's decentralized. All of us have some sort of influence on the value of Bitcoin as we trade it, as we buy and sell it, or as we use it in the economy. Now, the question then comes is, what hat are you wearing when you buy a cryptocurrency? Are you buying cryptocurrencies because you've got the intent to transact with them? Meaning, are you buying XRP or Ethereum or Bitcoin or USDT or whatever it is with the intent of that, I want to use this as my money? The same way we use Rands right now to buy things. Are you trying to do that with crypto? If you're trying to do that with crypto, be very careful that the cryptocurrency that you're buying is properly decentralized. a lot of the cryptocurrencies that are out there right now in the markets are not truly decentralized. They are controlled by an entity. So one guy or a group of people comes up with the currency. They then create, obviously, most of the time they'll create a token on top of the Ethereum network, and then they'll actually then release that currency up into the public. They'll then sometimes say it is backed up by something. They'll say it's backed up maybe by another currency, or it's backed up by a commodity. Sometimes it won't be backed up by anything at all. If you're buying into those and your plan is to actually use those as your actual real money, you are taking a massive risk. That's one. Two, the platform that you're using. Most cryptocurrency platforms globally are very much not regulated. There's very little oversight on them. And because by the very nature of cryptocurrencies having anonymity inside them, it means people can easily steal your money. Hence, we saw FTX back in 2022 collapse, where basically the leaders at FTX basically swindled customers. They could do that for such a long time because of the lack of oversight in crypto. And so that's always another risk that you have.
What's his name? Sam. He's got like
Sam
25 years.
Yeah, 25 years. Everybody's still frowning at that. But in any case, so that's a risk, that you're taking. So first of all, you're taking a risk on the cryptocurrency you're using. You're then taking a risk on the platform that you're using. I know if something goes wrong with the Rand, I've got legal recourse with the SOB. I've got legal recourse with the bank that I used. All right. With the cryptocurrency exchange and with the cryptocurrency itself, because it's decentralized, there's nobody to cry to when something goes wrong. If you buy a decentralized cryptocurrency, the person to cry to is everybody. And that means nobody can take liability for what wrong has happened to you. So be very careful in that sense. Now, if you take off the hat of a person who wants to use a cryptocurrency as money and you wear the hat of an investor or a trader, that's a completely different conversation now. Because that's where now things get a little exciting in the sense that one of the ways to make money in the world is to figure out what people want to buy in the future. Whether that thing has value or has no value at all, that's a different question. If I know next week, Friday, that you're going to buy XYZ coin for 100 Rand per coin, and right now I know that the coin is 50 Rands, it makes sense for me to buy it at 50 and then sell it to you next week, Friday at 100. Whether the coin has value or not is actually irrelevant. I'm playing the market game in this case. And this happens in the stock market as well. Especially when you're a short-term trader, you don't really care about the fundamentals of a business, the value that the business has. You care more about, is there actual activity in the market in regards to this share? Are there going to be buyers of that share in the future, in the next 2 weeks, next 3 months, whatever? Because if they are and they're willing to pay a higher price for it, I'm going to play them. That's what I'm going to do. So in the crypto world, when you trade in crypto, that's essentially what you're doing. Now, some of the cryptocurrencies do have actual backing. They'll be backed by gold, silver. A lot of those have come up. Some of them are what we call stable coins, where they're backed by actual fiat currencies. So for example, USDT is just a crypto version of the US dollar. So if every time they release a USDT token, there's a dollar that they've put in the bank as a backup to that USDT, right? So there'll be that case. But most of the trading activity that's happening in the crypto world is just people playing each other, trying to figure out which coin is going to be the most popular one tomorrow that I can buy today and flip on somebody else. That also then brings in an element of pump and dump scams, where basically people publish information that is false to raise the price of a crypto token. That way they can dump it on the rest of the market and take people's actual real money. Right. So there's, so there's a whole lot of that. Should you then trade crypto? That's now another question. The answer is, if you enjoy it, go ahead and trade it. You have a right to trade whatever you want, but just know probability says that you're most likely going to lose money. Should you use cryptocurrencies as a medium of exchange to buy goods in the economy? Majority, 99% of the cryptos, stay away from there. In my opinion, now this is my opinion, so just note that down. It's my opinion. I would say Bitcoin is one currency that you can use. Any of the stable coins, yes, you can use them, but just make sure whoever the centralized entity that's controlling that stable coin, make sure they're honest, that they actually do have the dollars that they say the stable coin is backed with, or they have the gold that they say the stable coin is backed with, because there's been a lot of frauds in that case, where a stable coin company says, here's a stable coin that we have, it's backed up with the US dollar, we've got XYZ amount of dollars in the bank. It turns out they don't. They were just lying. Then what happens to that stable coin? Its price falls. And if it's in your account as actual money that you're saving, the value of your money is gone. Wow. So I'd say stick to Bitcoin as a medium of exchange. Ethereum could be another one. But besides those two, if you really want to transact in crypto,
clear.
I wouldn't. If you want to trade it though, go ahead and trade whatever you want.
Some of us are barely tripping in rands, bro. Now we need to go to crypto, bro. We gotta keep it tight.
Central bank coins are coming soon.
Oh, that's cool.
That's a big one. So basically digital currencies by central banks. That's definitely going to be coming. We have seen the technology getting developed. We've seen white papers by central banks being written, being published, how it would work. So that's going to be something that's quite interesting.
I'm buying that.
My assumption is that when a central bank announces a cryptocurrency that is basically representative of its fiat currency. So for example, the SARB announcing that there's a crypto version of the Rand now. That's essentially gonna basically
South African Reserve Bank.
No, what I mean is crypto version of the Rand.
Yeah,
what?
That's exactly it.
No, they haven't yet said they are gonna do that.
This is sounding like corruption.
This is a Mandela effect.
This is a problem.
On steroids.
Just to hold
Our current Rand is even making not sure.
Remember though, if it's a central bank depository token or coin, meaning it's a CBDC, which is a central bank controlled cryptocurrency, it's just basically representative of the current currency that's in existence. So 1 bit Rand, let's say it's called that, will have the same value as 1 normal paper or coin Rand. All right. So it's really not going to be anything different. Now, where it would actually be very useful for us as citizens is the speed of transactions and the cost of transactions. So cryptocurrency is essentially the ones that are trying to be money, as in being used for transactions. They're trying to lower the cost of transacting and the speed at which we can transact. So for example, I can get USDT in 30 seconds from India. If I had to try transfer rands to India, or Indian rupee to South Africa, it's actually impossible because of capital controls in India, right? If I had to transfer money to Hong Kong, it would take a couple of days. But if I use a cryptocurrency, it's a couple of seconds. And best part yet, the cost is basically almost nothing. So a central bank controlled token would actually be doing the exact same thing. But now with the backing of the central bank, there's that safety of that. If something does go wrong,
You know where to go and strike.
we know who to, we know who to turn to.
Yeah.
So there's all that talk, but crypto becoming officially as the money of the future, we're still a long way from that. Definitely if central banks do get involved, they'll probably outlaw a lot of the cryptos that currently exist anyway, because central banks tend to not like competition. We've never seen another currency that competes with the Rand in South Africa. There's a reason for that. Central banks don't like competition.
Basically.
So that's going to be the case. So if you're trading crypto right now, just be aware that that is something that will happen in the next coming years.
Yeah, I'm buying that. Wow. Why is it Money Mondays?
Why is it Money Mondays?
Yeah, like why Mondays?
Why did you name it?
It sounds
Monday
cool.
morning is when the stock market
It sounds
is
cool.
open again.
Money Mondays. Money Mondays sounds cool. Why is it Money
It's actually
Mondays?
something so simple. I was thinking of names to sort of call my social media pages, and one of the first names I thought of was Everything Finance. And I was like,
Sounds like a module.
I didn't think that, but I was like, that just sounds, I don't know. I don't like the sound. I don't like the sound of that. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to publish, because it started out as a blog. So I was like, I'm going to publish a blog post every Monday. So the blog posts are going to be about money. So I'll just call the thing Money Mondays.
Oh, there you go.
And then that was it.
Oh, wow. Okay, great story.
I wish there was, I could add mythology to it. I was born on a Monday. So I could say, I could add, something, to puff it up. But it's really not that. It's not that.
That's what investors do.
Hey,
That's a nice story.
hey,
Now we
careful.
found it.
Yeah, please, Stop pumping up these stocks. Thanks, bro.
Yeah.
Thanks
a lot
for coming through.
enlightenment.
It's a pleasure.
We're excited to see your page grow.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Dog, that's going to be exciting stuff. And we hope we can see you another time as well. So thanks for coming through.
People can see me at moneymondays.co.za.
Please, guys,
across
it's moneymondays.co.za, because I've seen a lot of scam artists on your page.
There's funny letters on that moneymondays.co.za. It's not me.
Please don't get caught in that phishing scam. moneymondays.co.za. His name is Omega Shange.
Yeah.
Thanks, my boy.
Thanks,
It's a pleasure.
bro.
Thank
That
you
was
for having
great.
me.
Appreciate it.